If you are betting this NFL season, you need to be using DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the National Football League. You use the code SDPN and you will get an instant $200 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code SDPN, that's code SDPN, and you get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms limited time offer. On Wednesday, Frank Saravalli reported that the Minnesota Wild were willing to pay Kirill Kaprizov, who is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season, 8 years by $16 million. That is $16 million per season over 8 years. That's $128 million, the highest ever total value contract in the history of the National Hockey League. Now, it's not the single most money that a player's ever been paid in a single year. I have up here the highest paid contracts in NHL history. And if you scroll to the 97-98 season, Joe Sakic was paid $16.45 million in a single season. So that would come in just above Kaprizov, $16 million that the Minnesota Wild were willing to pay him. But Kirill Kaprizov either doesn't like Minnesota a lot or is playing the hardest hardball, him and his agent, with the Minnesota Wild, because he turned down that offer. And it's one of those two things. Maybe his agent is playing hardball and that other teams out there are willing to pay more for Kirill Kaprizov. Elliot Friedman said it on the 32 Thoughts podcast, that there might be other teams out there willing to pay him more than that $16 million, and that he's trying to get as much juice out of this lemon that he can squeeze out of the lemon and see much juice and get in that cup. I'm going to stop doing the lemon juice thing. But to me, Kaprizov is just like a little step below of where the highest paid player in the league should be. The Athletic actually dropped their tier list of all the players in the National Hockey League. They tiered them all out, and they have Kaprizov in the MVP tier, but he's at the bottom of the first tier. And I think we'd all agree that that's where he sits. They had above him McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon, Makar, Barkov, Kucherov, Hughes, Matthews, and then in the 1C tier, those were all 1A and 1B players, and Kaprizov is a 1C player. And this isn't saying that he's not a good player. He's a very good player. I'm putting him in the top of the top tiers amongst National Hockey League players, but he is very good and a Hart Trophy candidate when he's playing his best. I thought last season, in only his 41 games, but when he was healthy on the ice, he looked like he could win the Hart Trophy last season, but he wasn't healthy all year, only played 41 games, like I said. But he also plays the least premium position in the whole league in winger. Like, you'd rather have a Makar or Hughes who play defenseman, can be effective offensively and defensively. You'd rather have a player like Matthews or Barkov or any centerman, McDavid or Draisaitl, any centerman, McKinnon. I can't leave out anybody because somebody's going to get mad if I leave out somebody. But you'd rather have those centermen because they're the two-way threats on the ice in terms of the forward group. Those are the guys who are going to be defensively responsible. And if you have Kaprizov on your team and you're saying, I'm going to make him the highest paid player on my team and the highest paid player in the National Hockey League, I don't see how that's a recipe for success. And we saw this too with the New York Rangers and Artemi Panarin. And funnily enough, Panarin and Kaprizov have the same agent. They are repped by the same guy. And now we have the Rangers who went out and paid Panarin $11.6 million. And that's all been like good. That's come out like okay. It's been all right. They haven't won anything. They've been so competitive over the stretch where Panarin's been a Ranger, but they haven't reached the Stanley Cup final. They have a couple of Eastern Conference Finals bids, but I don't think anybody would look at the way the Rangers have gone about making their winger one of their highest paid players, and then now they got to fit everybody in around that as a good strategy. The Leafs tried this too with paying Marner and Nylander a whole bunch of money, wingers, but then they also had Austin Matthews who's making a bunch of money, and that was a whole other problem. The only exception that I'm willing to hear is that if you believe Kaprizov is Nikita Kucherov, multiple-time Hart Trophy winner, and that you can recreate the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are paying their star winger a whole bunch of money, and you can recreate the Lightning with Kaprizov as Kucherov with the way you built out the roster. But I doubt you can do that with Kaprizov. But if you're willing to do that and take that chance, then yeah, you would pay him that money. I don't see how this is the best recipe for success for teams around the league to go out and pay Kaprizov all of this money. And that, I guess, is a side rant. But in this whole rant, because I might disagree with the philosophy, but there is a team out there willing to do it if we believe Frank Saravalli's report, because GM Bill Guerin, who would have been the one handing out this contract, pushed back on that report when he talked to the 10,000 Takes podcast on Wednesday. We can cut to the chase. Look, I don't know where this stuff comes from, Guerin said about the report. I know two things. That info didn't come from us, and it didn't come from Kirill's agent. I don't know where it came from. His agent and I have a very good relationship. We're not going to let things like this get in the way. I still think we're in a really positive place with Kirill, and like I said, part of my role is to protect him. So we're going to let this go. We just move on. In there, I think if you look at his words exactly and take them literally, he doesn't deny that they offered him $16 million. He says he doesn't know where that report came from. He doesn't know where that info came from. It didn't come from me, but he didn't say that the Minnesota Wild weren't willing to pay Kirill $16 million. And I think there's a lot of denial without denying that the report is true. I think they are willing to go up to a number like that. And I think the reality is that this situation is a very sad situation for Minnesota Wild fans. Because if Kirill Kaprizov wanted to be a Minnesota Wild for the next 8 years and essentially for the end of his career, he would have done it. He would have accepted this number like we see hockey players do consistently, time in and time out, especially players who have an injury history like he does, and especially players who are being offered this amount of money. If he wanted to be a Wild for the next 8 years, he would be a Wild for the next 8 years. Craig Leopold, the owner of the team, is willing to give him that blank check. But Kirill and his agent, they don't want to do that today. They may want to do it tomorrow, but I think this is enough evidence that they want to explore their options and see what money is out on the market and see what other team he could possibly be on next season. And lastly, that brings us to the rumors and scuttlebutt that the Wild are exploring trade options for Kaprizov. That hit the internet today. I don't know how true those rumors are, but that's the logical step for the Minnesota Wild if you're at the trade deadline and this player is still unsigned. You can reset your entire franchise with a package for Kaprizov. Whether you want to go the route of Mikko Rantanen and the Avalanche, where they're collecting assets for them to be good like right now and go on that playoff run, the Wild could definitely do that. But if they're in a different position where it's like, hey, maybe we know we're not Stanley Cup ready yet, but we can be next year or the year after if we get a bundle of stuff, maybe that's the direction they go in. They just get a bundle of assets that are potentially something. Maybe even a Kirill Kaprizov one day. This is the rumor that's making the most noise out there. The McDavid stuff is still wait and see, but like, I'm almost there with you if you're willing to go on that journey with me. And then the Crosby stuff is fascinating, but I think the Crosby stuff sits and we see how the Penguins play out their season, because once they start stinking, I think then we start hammering all the Crosby stuff. So Kirill right now, you're getting the attention in the preseason, pre-training camp, actually, newsy section of the NHL season. Camps are about to begin. The rookies are playing. NHL is getting back to full swing, and I can't wait for the season to start. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be listening or watching right now, and I appreciate you for that. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to hit subscribe on the Jesse Blake Sports Report YouTube channel. I will see you again very shortly.